You have outsourced a part of your project to a vendor, and the vendor contract includes providing specialized training to your team so they can effectively manage future support. However, the vendor is avoiding delivering the training as per the contract and appears to be trying to avoid their contractual obligation due to challenges in their businesses. Which of the following strategy would you be most effective in proactively ensuring that critical knowledge is transferred and retained within the teams while also managing the supplier contract issue? Yeah, so that's the challenge. You are expected to get trained from the vendor. Vendor is avoiding that particular contractual obligation. Let's see the option. Option A, work directly with the vendor team members and influence them by providing some incentive to provide training on an informal basis. Many of you might have done that, yeah, in a real world. But in a PMP exam perspective, we don't want to take a shortcut. It's a shortcut and probably an effective shortcut. Yeah. Here, but we are saying why to take a shortcut when we can properly get our demand met. So a candidate option in a way, a shortcut manner, but I think it's a risky thing to do. Let's see other options. Option B, send a formal letter to the vendor to remind them of their contractual obligation and the consequences of non-delivering. Now, sometimes it look little heavy. You can say, how can you do that? It seems to be a forcing kind of conflict management. But should not you do that? Their question is clearly showing that the vendor is not meeting their contractual obligation. So I hold on for a while, but I consider it is a good option. Let's see option C. Collaborate with the vendor. Nice word, collaborate. Yeah, collaborate with the vendor to negotiate, providing detailed documentation so they can manage their priority while ensuring knowledge transfer. Yeah. So the nice word has been added is collaborate. The bad thing has been added, you make a document and we will take care of it. Assuming the document will give all the knowledge transfer, not a part of thing. And why should I lose my contractual obligation? So collaborating is okay, but not at a cost of your project team, not at a cost of sustaining knowledge, and something that it is not coming as a negotiable point from the vendor. If vendor comes to you and give you some alternatives, probably you can still collaborate. But here the vendor is just avoiding and you have a contractual obligation. You don't have to go and start saying, you just give me a document, I will take care of it. Yeah, not a good idea. Option D, collaborate with the vendor. Good word, yeah, to provide training at a later date since they are currently busy with their work. Now, we are assuming that later date training will be effective, and we are assuming that this is something a vendor will also agree, but probably forget about vendor agree or not agree. Should you as a project manager propose that? I would say no. Yeah. My goal is you have agreed for something, you have told me to provide something. I just need to remind that you probably need to meet your obligation. Now, if you come forward and say there is some particular challenge and I want you to do something different and I want to negotiate my terms, I will see my priority. I will make sure my priorities are not compromised and I will try to collaborate as long as both of us can win. But I won't collaborate by keeping my team and my project in a disadvantaged position. So coming back to option B, send a formal letter to the vendor to remind them their contractual obligation and consequences of not meeting their contractual obligation is a good idea. Sometimes it's a tricky thing to think because usually we keep believing that it's always about collaboration and working nicely. But when the question is clearly indicating someone is not meeting their contractual obligation, you can definitely go for forcing, and especially in the procurement topics. So ECO mapping, it is focusing on briefly on people domain task 5, ensuring team members, stakeholders are adequately trained. Yeah, also focusing on knowledge transfer, task 16 of a process domain to continue your project. And major focus of this question is task 11, plan and manage procurement, because we should know how to take care of our procurement contracts. The topic we explored, contract management, that was a primary focus area. Formal communication, sending a formal letter or giving a call or informally taking care of a problem with the help of project team member. That was a little bit we need to understand. Whenever it comes to a matter of contract and all, formal communication is usually preferred. And it is also touching the conflict management, though in general, we believe conflict management should be handled with the help of collaboration. But when we are not getting what we are expected to get, we start from demanding our right before we go for negotiation. So it also touches the conflict management.